I think there are two important projects we now have here at the Solution Management Center in Vienna. One thing is a concept that we call now retooling. And retooling is the idea to identify or to, let's better say, is the idea to integrate the principles of solution finding and creating solutions into tools, instruments, and especially into procedures, of course, because only an instrument or a tool is not enough to be effective. And of course, the procedures are also very important. Because I started, I think, 10 or 12 years ago, I started with a little project that was called Solution-Focused Rating. This is a different format of doing rating and performance management. And I published that, and after I have published that, I was interested how to integrate this idea of solution-focused rating into other formats of tools. For example, formats like graphs. When you use graphs and bars in analysis, for example, when you have the turnover and the analysis of turnover for one product and the next product and so on. And also for applications like quality management, project management, strategy, and so on. And for this retooling, it was important to identify the principle behind the techniques and the attitudes in the solution-focused approach. And I have already mentioned one. I think one very important is focusing on positive differences. Another very important is focusing on the next step that we should do from the future and not from the past. Another principle is that every observation and every observer at the workplace, that means every person, has a potential when they talk about things, even when they have a conflict or have difficult discussions. And with these principles, we started the retooling project, and now we integrate these principles in sometimes we call it the DNA. Do you understand DNA, Caroline?
Yes.
The DNA of the processes in organizations. For example, when in a company, when you do quality management, and then you have a lot of quality assessments and quality reports. And with classical instruments and with classical procedures, you always analyze the average of something. For example, the quality of service in the call center. And then you ask people about that quality, and then all those people say, okay, that quality is on a scale from 1 to 8, or 1 to 7, and 7 is excellent, and 1 is very poor. Then they say that's 5. And then the people, that's something like an average of their experience they have. And in reality, you never have an average. In reality, you always have differences. Sometimes the service quality in the call center is better, sometimes it's worse, and it's better, then it's worse, and so on. And when they now start to identify and to visualize with the quality assessment all that little positive differences they hear from the customers, for example, and they collect that in their format and in the tool, they have much more potential for developing steps and to improve the quality of service in the call center. But you need a different inner logic inner logic in the tool, because most tools have an inner logic where it is very difficult to identify what works well, and that's the principle in the background of there are always differences, and focus on the differences and collect it and record it, and in the meetings work with all that concrete descriptions of customers, of the staff, of the employees. They have observed what is different, when it is better. Of course, you can train people, for example, sales people, to do that in a solution-focused training, and that's very helpful of them. Of course, one step which is very important, and when you do the same, when you also integrate the principles of identifying solutions and creating solutions into that procedures, it makes it much more easier to have a more potential focused and solution focused view.